Charge of the Light Brigade by Sir Alfred Tennyson. Half a league, half a league, half a league onward, all in the valley of death, rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade, charge for the guns, he said. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade. Was there a man dismayed? Not though the soldier knew. Someone had blundered. There's not to make reply, there's not to reason why, there's but to do and die. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon in front of them. Volleyed and thundered, stormed at with shot and shell. Boldly they rode and well. Into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell, rode the 600. Flashed all their sabres bare, flashed as they turned in air, sabring the gunners there, charging an army, while all the world wondered. Plunged in the battery smoke, right through the line they broke. Cossack and Russian reeled from the sabre stroke, shattered and sundered. They rode back, but not the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon behind them. Volleyed and thundered, stormed at with shot and shell, while horse and hero fell. They that had fought so well came through the jaws of death, back from the mouth of hell, all that was left of them, left of 600. When can their glory fade? Oh, the wild charge they made! All the world wondered. Honor the charge they made. Honor the Light Brigade, noble 600. The Charge of the Light Brigade was written by Lord Alfred Tennyson in the December of 1854. His main inspiration was the Crimean War between the Russian Empire and the British. Tennyson read a newspaper article about the Battle of Balaclava and sprinted home to write some poetry. Further clarification, it was the Battle of Balaclava, not to be mistaken with baklava, the famous filo-layered nut-filled dessert. This set of lines throws the reader right into the action. The Light Brigade is moving onward to battle. This repetition also gives the rhythm of a marching army. It also makes the reader feel somewhat tired from marching half a league after half a league, a distance of about 7.5 miles. This makes the war atmosphere much more serious. Each of the men in the Light Brigade could be marching to their death. This mentioning of the Valley of Death is a biblical reference of Psalm 23. Tennyson introduced us to the conflict and the setting in lines 1 through 3. Now he introduces us to the main character, the 600 men on horseback in the Light Brigade. This is when you are a soldier and you think your commanding officer has gone bonkers. Most of the people would run away from guns, not toward them. This shows the bravery of the men in the Light Brigade. These last two lines give a review of lines 3 and 4, but also remind the reader of the courage of the 600 soldiers riding to their death. This is our first glimpse of what the soldiers think of the order to charge into the Valley of Death. None of them are dismayed as answered in line 11. These are good soldiers that follow orders. This interesting group of lines that forms a rhyming triplet show the loyalty of the soldiers of the Light Brigade. It is not their place as cavalrymen to answer back to their commanding officer or to question his order to charge. It is simply their place to follow orders, which could lead to their death without question. Lines 18 to 22 simply describe how crappy it is to be in the Valley of Death. There are cannons all around the Light Brigade, and they are being pelted with bullets and shells from the cannons. Despite the unfavorable conditions of the Valley of Death, the soldiers of the Light Brigade aren't scared. Here in line 24, Tennyson puts another vivid image in our minds. The Light Brigade is no longer just charging into the crappy Valley of Death. Now they are charging straight into the jaws of death. These lines tell us that these soldiers are on horseback with swords, giving us the chivalrous knight image. However, these guys have swords, but their enemies have guns and cannons, emphasizing the bravery of the Light Brigade. Tennyson uses wondered here as a synonym for amazement. He was saying that the war spectators were amazed by the bravery of the Light Brigade. Back in the days when guerrilla warfare wasn't cool, being able to break through the line during a battle guaranteed you the victory. We finally find out whom the Light Brigade is attacking. We also find out that the Light Brigade is so good that every Cossack in Russian is split in two, literally. The Light Brigade has done their job, and all the remaining can do is ride back. These sets of lines are similar to the ones in stanza 3. The only difference is the change from in front to behind. This shows us that the return journey is just as bad as the journey to the battle. This line tells us that many of the men of the Light Brigade did not survive. These three lines say that the men of the Light Brigade fought valiantly and the survivors escaped death. Tennyson was saying that their glory would never fade because of their bravery and success on the battlefield. Tennyson again states the amazement the world had at the charge of the Light Brigade. Tennyson then concluded by saying to honor the Light Brigade for their charge because they were noble men.